My name is Arthur Bayr. I work for sdox for several years now. I'm a full-stack developer with a focus on API architecture, performance, security on back-end and front-end side, using Django for over 7 years, and also doing Vue, React, mostly React and last time for over 5 years, and doing some DevOps and server admin stuff. Yeah. I worked with bleeding-edge technologies, but is this really true anymore with GraphQL? It's on the market for about, I think, 5 to 7 years. There are still many people who don't know GraphQL, and they just go with REST or some fancy new remote procedure calls. And sometimes I'm a prompt engineer. I'm raising 3 kids. I give them some input and I get some random response. So that's all about AI you heard about today from me. And my typical stack is a Caddy web server with a Django and Strawberry. In the front end, I use NX, React, and Apollo. And I don't, who of you are using GraphQL in the past? Okay. Who of you were using Django in the past? Okay, nice. GraphQL is an API specification from Meta, Facebook, and is implemented in many languages. In Python, you have Strawberry and Graphene, or Graphene, maybe. And one big point of GraphQL is you get exactly that what you ask for. So your client asks for a name, you get the name. In REST, you ask for a person, and you get always the full person object, and not exactly what you're asking for. There's a nice interface. It's called GraphQL. We use this for querying our backend in the workshop. And in the docs, there's no versioning defined. But is this really true? I saw GraphQL endpoints with /v1, v2, v3. So in GraphQL, you normally do deprecate fields and use some OpenTelemetry or any other logs to see if this field is maybe under 1% usage, and then you really drop it. Only one endpoint. And that's definitely not true, in my opinion, because there's something called federation where you can connect many GraphQL endpoints to one big schema. And a schema is the definition of your whole API. So you have some primitives like integers, strings, UUIDs, IDs, and they are wrapped in lists, object types, interfaces, unions. And it looks all similar to like JSON. So I got some questions before the workshop started. So why do I prefer Strawberry with 4 car stars on GitHub over Graphene with 8 car stars? I used Graphene myself for several years, but the maintainer left this project, and with him the majority of core developers and contributors left with him. And there's no more, or there's not many action in this repository. Another question, is there any AI covered in your workshop? Nope. I'm a full-stack engineer and I'm very interested in AI, and I'm also using it sometimes, but it's very hard to keep up to date with so many technologies and different scopes. So, this is one of, I think this is the last slide before we start. Each exercise is self-contained, so as long as you don't add any syntax errors, you can just go on, because the exercise 2 is based on exercise 1, but I fixed all errors for you, and you can just go on without fixing your errors from exercise 1. And this workshop uses an open source tool, Strawberry, and in open source it's very important to talk, discuss, and help each other. So please do not hesitate to ask the people next to you for help or advice. If there are still questions, you can just raise your hand and I come to you and I will help you out. So let's go. I hope everybody of you cloned the GitHub repo. If you didn't, now would be a great time to do it. And there's the outline, the pre-install requirements. I will skip this. And the exercise overview. Each exercise has a README, and this is very exercise-based. So I commented you to do sdox, some help with Django code, and you just go through the code and fix one to-do after another. In the first exercise, we will write some type defs and resolvers. And we will refactor our code until we finished the whole API. And if time is left, we will talk about ASGI, Starlette, and so on. And as homework, you can check out Strawberry Django. There's our database scheme. It's really easy. We have a social club, some members, guests, and a product. And Strawberry, docs, plus Discord. Discord has a very active channel on Strawberry. There you will get help immediately. The creator is Patrick. Thanks so much for creating this framework. And the core developers, Bellini, Dr. John, Eric Red, and Gilkis. Yeah. And in the first exercise, you can just open your private IDE going to exercise 1, and just open the README. And the first thing you must do is to change the line in core URLs to use your exercise schema, exercise 1 schema. So you go to from exercise 1, schema, import schema. Save it, maybe restart your server to avoid any stale code. And you can check if everything works if you go to 127.00.18000. This will redirect you to the GraphQL endpoint. And here we have the GraphQL interface. And I can show you shortly what I mean with what you ask is what you get. So I query all social clubs here with ID. Okay. I should use complete. You can just press control space. You can see ID is there and name is there. And you press Control Enter, and you just get the data on the right side. Any questions so far? Okay. So the first exercise is defined in the README. That's really easy. You go to the types in exercise 1. It's in schema types. And this concept is repeating. So I explain it one time now, and in future we can just go into types, query, and sometimes in the schema py, and work through the to-dos. So I will show you the first to-do, and then I think you can just go on. So street would be street, colon, string. I will save this. And now if I update my scheme, my endpoint, I can query the street. If I query the street, this won't work now because you have to fix the query afterwards and just uncomment some lines. I did many of pre-coding for you because it's very boilerplate code, and we will refactor this later. So I will give you 10 minutes for the first exercise, and I think it's until 1:20. Yeah. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and I come to you.
expected that numbers would be built instead of most of people. The Ray knows that it's a mistake. That's good. But it's giving nothing now. Maybe that's better than restart. Lowering it means that restart. I don't know, but this is right. Soon there must be some way to do it. Or maybe you have to do it. Maybe years ago, the kids had exports state all GraphQL.
So I think you have to also do something like that. Use like a filter. Sorry, I think it's like this.
No, it's different than that. Put here, be careful. So that's like
Maybe EQ?
so
EQ, yeah, the letter EQ, yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah, so there should be
Oh, but it seems to use like a dictionary notation.
oh, again? Oh, then, column? See if it actually works.
I think there's an error.
But delete this and suddenly you have that. Or maybe it will give you a good error message.
Oh, okay.
Well, as an example, it doesn't say which should be literal, which should not.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So you have 3 minutes left.
No pressure.
And no pressure.
Maybe it's something. Yeah.
Okay.
Expected name something.
Wait, is zip a string?
Oh, maybe this.
Yeah, zip is a string.
Okay, but then. Yeah.
But then GT doesn't work for string.
Oh, if they're all equally long, then yes, it should work.
Okay, correct.
But then it's a bit cheating. Expected name, but it's like a string item. Het voelt voor net ook echt al. Okay, don't make careful stay not
Time would be up. Do you need one more minute? Or, yeah, okay. Does anybody finish this exercise? Nice. So I will do some live coding now, and you just can finish your exercise on your own or just look at my code, how I would solve it. Yeah. So I already implemented street. The next time field is zip. It's also string. I forgot to mention Strawberry is fully based on data classes. Who of you works with typing in Python? Ah, okay, nice. The product type has a name. It's also a string. A price is an integer, and quality is a quality enum imported from core schema enum. There's a small trick because the quality enum is a quality choices field from Django integer choices, and you can easily make an enum from it. If you make a strawberry enum, quality choices, and you must give it a name, then you can use it. There's also the age, which is an int, and a rating, which is an int. And the types are finished now. We have to fix the queries, and there's just uncommenting, I think. Ooh. And there's an extra to do here. Because this is a top-level field, on the query we can, no, that's not correct. On any type def, you can also define any custom fields like, hey, I want to have the current date time. This takes also the info object. Info is like a request. It's a bit more. It has information about the schema, but it also has the request. And it will return date time. And just do time, so now. Get this from Django utils maybe. Get the date time from date time, yeah. And everything should work in the front end now. So we have the, just check it out if it's still working, yeah. So we have zip implemented and it returns the zip. And also you can query I forgot that. You must decorate this as a strawberry field, or it doesn't occur in the schema. So now you can also query on the top level. Hello. Unexpected time. That's interesting. I think I must do from date time, import date time. Yeah, now it's working. So on the top level, you get the social clubs and also our implemented current date time. And I don't know if anybody had time left for implement the member and guess it's just the same code as above with the products and social clubs. Are there any questions? Yeah?
In the query in the browser, you use a different notation for current date time. No underscores and capital letters.
Yeah. So Strawberry converts everything to camel case on default. You can disable this behavior on the schema, I think, with a schema configuration. I think that is also, I will look up the docs and will show it to you if you're interested in this. The background is JSON is camel case. You see not often JSON in snake case. So the Python snake case collides with the front end now. And this is an API, so we return the data structure for the front end. You can enforce this behavior with the schema config if you really need the underscores. Yep.
Where are all the values in terms of street name, zip code, and so on defined?
You run the load data, Python manage load data, data JSON, I think I called it. And I prepared a small SQLite database, and Django uses a SQLite database on default. And as soon you run Python manage migrate, this database gets created, and the data you injected is data I randomly created, I think 3 or 5 days ago. If you're interested in how I created the data, under core management comments, mock data, there's a small script. It's not very performant, but it does the job, and just spin up some random data. So I think we can go on with exercise 2. What do you think about exercise 1? Was it hard or? Okay, yeah. It's not a problem if you didn't finish the exercise 1, because the important part is you get a feeling how these things work, and I will show you my solution. That doesn't mean it is the best solution, but you have a good starting point how you can implement your the whole schema you will build in future maybe. So exercise 2 is, I will show this in GitHub, there's it nicely formatted. Do not forget to update the URLs to exercise 2. This will load the next schema. The to-dos are in the types, and at the moment we can not query any related things like a foreign key from I have a social club and which members are in this social club, or which products are at this social club. And there are many to-dos again. Look out for the forward declaration. In typing in Python, you use this double quote just to forward a class defined under your current class. And I think you only needed this in line 14 to 16, and the other to-dos should be straightforward, I think. And you will have time until 40, I think. Yeah. You can't install that. This is a package, not on IQ. It's a package. It's a Django application, so you must run in the console put this in -R. I think you have to stop your it could be that your PyCharm, your root is not the package, maybe, I don't know. Strawberry API. This looks like a package font problem. I don't know if you can set a project root now.
Otherwise, put this one. Unless it's down below.
It's defined in model code schema. Oh, yeah, okay.
Otherwise, it's
Can you right-click on this photo? Mark it as source.
type changes stuff. Understand it.
Right-click it.
So this should be the
But you can,
date
is
type.
it working like PyCharm? You can just make a right-click and mark it as project source, and all paths should be red.
You had a question?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I was wondering, is there ways greater than and less than?
Yeah,
So like data
it's
ranges.
an exercise. So we will refactor the schema to get not a complete schema, but you know how you can implement builder. And if you don't want to implement builder all by your own, there's a package called Strawberry and Django. And they define all your filters and pre-filters and pre-selects and so on. This had some side effects because last time I used it, it was not nice enough to combine custom types with Django types, and I needed the flexibility. So there was no chance to mix like something like a custom interface with Django types. So I teach you the basics here, and you can just plug in any library what you want to mix it up. This answer your question?
Yes. I couldn't find the GraphQL site. There was nothing about comparisons, so it's really...
No, GraphQL itself doesn't make any filters. If you want a filter, you can define one yourself.
Oh, so it's part of your own API, it's not part of the language.
The language offers you the possibility to add arguments to your filter.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's in exercise 3 or 4. Or could be mutations. I will talk to the audience and then everybody will know for arguments. But this is upcoming. This will come next week. We will discuss queries and queries what you select as mutations and equal update, create, delete, type or descriptions. They won't cover it because
Oh, it's already querying everything, it's just not... It doesn't define yet. So here you do have to map everything from model to data type explicitly.
Okay, so basically for every model that has a model relationship, you have to basically do like a recursive call and fetch all the objects for it, is it?
Simple like this. And convert it from Django model into a data class.
Into a data class, yeah.
But that's discipline.
So let's say we have like, I'm curious, like let's say you have like 10 or 15 different models, so will your query will it involve a reflection? Like let's say
The members are resolving outside. So you write this field resolve.
This is plain Strawberry. It seems that you have to do a lot of things manually, but obviously other library changes won't be necessary. Because this was the problem I had the first time I tried GraphQL, that I had to program complete mapping, and then well, it's way too much work, and I might just well stay with SQL. But if this can be automated, then it should be fine.
I checked
But the
paving,
paving,
checked all
it's often
members
the plain
once.
Strawberry, and you
So we just define the type.
Just to manage the type, okay.
And I already coded it for you in the social club members that you want.
Yeah,
it's the N plus 1 problem.
I think that's the problem that I don't understand the concept of queries and types.
And do I need Django Professional in addition to recognize this one?
I also get a warning under this. This is a problem in Python typing itself. There's
how much should we?
PyCon.
That one we just use for queries instead of
recognizing the category.
Okay.
So
I think this all should also
PyCon there's issues like more Python.
We call it all sorts of
and it's
fetch
every time you have a package.
Fetch
Wrap it in
PyCharm refuses to implement this. But I need functional addition to recognize objects. Yes, I know it. Cool. But the object is another program. This should work. Maybe your project is set up as a type. Yeah, I have not written functional addition. I can set up a Java project. But I know this from my job. I always run professional version. So, okay.
So I see that time is up. I think I'll show you the solution. The first to do is members. And members is a list of member time. And this we have to copy for guest and product. Yeah.
I did the same thing, but well, when I try the sample query from README in a test it,
Yeah.
I get the empty list of products. Is it supposed to be like that? Maybe there is no such.
There should be products. I will try it in a minute. Maybe I have a bug in it. This could be possible.
And also, can you mention these questions below?
Yeah, sure. I will just fix the types that I don't forget anything, and then I will mention the question. So there's a question, oh, this could go evilly wrong in future. At the moment, there is not a problem because I inject this data on with a static query. We will refactor this soon. And I just inject the members with a member type outside to fulfill this social club type. But as soon as we implemented this, we can, I show you something. So we can query members here. And members, we can query an ID and again a social club. And in the social club, we can query again the members. And in the members, we can query again the social club. And yeah, that's a graph. It's GraphQL. So we can just go from one node to another and back and forward and back and forward. And there is something to prevent this. So I added in exercise 3. I don't want to type everything again. There are extensions to the schema. You can limit your query by depth. You can limit the aliases. There's another tag for GraphQL schemas. So you can do something like you have a very expensive field. Let's assume the first name is very expensive. So you make make an alias. So this field will be, I will show you. This field will be, I will finish the types first. Do not mix up things too fast. Guests. Where's the bug? Guests, social club. I have defined guests as is missing. So everything should work now, yeah. So if you can notice, there's a response A inside on the right side, and it is a first name. So if I remove the alias, I get first name again. I can just rename the fields on the fly. So let's assume first name is a really expensive field. So I can do a B first name, C first name, and if each query will take 5 seconds, so we are on 15 seconds. If you are async, you will just blow up your processes. And in the end, it just return every field 3 times. This is useful if you use something like thumbnails with arguments, so you can do original. This is a fictive. This is not a real case, just for showing what aliases do. So an original with no arguments, and you can query thumbnail 400 by 400, and you will call it with an X 400 and Y 400 and so on. So that's a really useful case for thumbnails if you need many of them. But I think this goes out of scope. With these extensions implemented on the schema, you can limit this. You should tighten it enough to prevent these attacks, but you shouldn't make it too tighten to prevent your developers from developing, because if you have always to fix the def limiter or always to fix the alias limiter, you make more trouble than solutions, I think. There are some optimizers like parser cache, validation cache, mask errors, so you won't show the original errors to the end user. You can customize this with should mask error function. So you can just define a callback on here, and you can just define yourself what should the response look like. But we are still in exercise 2, I think. And yeah, I think it's complete. Members should work. Also the guests should work. Yeah. Are there any questions to exercise 2? Yeah.
Can you try to query products?
Yeah, I can also query the products, and I get what I ask for, and I can also remove the members and guests to have some less noise. And now I have the products. Yeah, we can look inside it, I think, if there's time in the next exercise, or in the end of the workshop, we can just talk about it. So the next exercise is about lots of boilerplate. In the types and in the query, I already fixed the query pie for you, I think. There's a really interesting question. There are two, maybe more possibilities to implement this. One is a from object and one is a private field on the field definition. I already prepared your type with this instance private. If you look it up, private is just a strawberry field definition. So this field does not show up in your scheme. So you can't query instance. It's private. But you have access in the field resolvers. Now the type changed from this definitions, this data style, data classes definition style, to this field resolver style. So you can access your instance with itself. This is also typed, so you get autocomplete for social club. The same happens with member. You have a lot of to-dos here to resolve everything else. And there are some special cases. So if you are annoyed by this repeating resolvers up here, you can maybe skip to to-do 6, where you can define an uppercase name field. There are two ways, one with a field resolver and one with a field extensioner. I already prepared you the extension because it is just copy-paste from the docs, so you don't have to do it yourself. And the question is, another question is, think about the pros and cons for more boilerplate in types and less logic in your queries. Don't forget to change the exercise 3 in the URLs pie.
Was gebe ich dem Resolver als Info mit? Das ist der zweite Parameter, den man übersieht.
I think you mean the info object, or?
Genau, also hier, genau, das Info Object.
The info object is, this is typed, I hope. The info object has some raw information about the schema, and it also has the information about your current field. I don't think, no, you don't need this info object in this exercise. But there are also some interesting things like field name, field node, selected fields. Selected fields is very interesting if you're working with Django, because if your fields match the name of your database, you can just prefetch and select before you even execute your query to have one query and not the n+1 problem if you subquery nested types. If you're looking for the Django request object, it's under info context request. So you can make some authentication maybe there if the user is logged in. So you can go, you can check it on the API endpoint, you can check it on the schema, you can check it on your query definition, I think. And the lowest possible place is on the field definition. So you can have a type defined like person, and you have access to the name, but not on the last name. So you can query name as a public user, but as soon as you want to access the last name, you just raise an error or return none. I heard the question, what's the difference between a strawberry ID and a string, I think. ID is just a constant definition in the strawberry schema, or not schema, but specification, because you have a front-end client like Apollo or Relay, and they have a normalized cache. So you have something like member type :1, and that's in your front-end cache. It's not the browser cache, it's inside JavaScript, like in Apollo. And you can normalize this object, and you can gain a lot of performance out of this, because you can query a member, and later you have a component, and you can reuse this member without querying the server, because you can just look up, I have a member type :1. Is this in query? Okay, I don't have to fetch it from the server, so I just grab it from my cache. And this does not work with strings, because the string is not an identifier. Under the hood, ID is just an alias for string, but another data type. I think so.
So I'm trying here to create the data class instance. weiterschreiben.
Muss ja hier raus und Feature Examinations. Achso, ich könnte Ende schreiben, Production Objects all.
Ja, du musst ja nur Bestimmung haben. Du musst nur hier haben.
Die Rest objects.
Ich gebe das ja nur hier so eine Spalte ein.
Ja, aber du musst ja
Das heißt, ich selekte jetzt nicht all, sondern ich selekte nur die, also schon all, aber nur diese eine Spalte davon.
Dus dit hem al als je complete aan de dat is mooi. Dus dit is nog. Dat is nog voor een teach. Oh, the whole relationship is missing. For product there is.
But then for guest we need to.
So you have 1 minute left.
Oh no, push now, sir. Oh, but there's a reverse. Oh, they query the bit from the other side. Yes,
So I will just show you one example with the name. I will just skip this copy-paste stuff, I think. So we have a strawberry field. We want to have the name. Info. By the way, you don't have to implement info if you don't use info. Strawberry looks up if there's an info inside this. This decorator checks if there's an info with typing of info, and if this info object exists, Strawberry will inject it. If you don't define this works completely fine too, as long as you don't access or you don't need the info object. Name will return a string, so this is just normal Python return definition from types, and we will return self.instance, and we just see here the auto-completion from PyCharm kicking in. It's a social club type, and we just need the name. Difference to Graphene, I think, is you can't, you have no typing, so you have to guess this stuff. I'm not sure. It's my last step. So the next interesting part is this name uppercase. It's again a strawberry field. Everything is a strawberry field most of the times. And we define our name uppercase. And we have again the info. And it will return obviously a string again. And we will just make a self instance.name.upper, and this should work as expected. Another way to do the same thing is to have this logic of uppercase reusable inside an extension. So you can add a field extension like this, this one. And then you can just return the name again, and the extensions are executed like generators, I think. So there is like a middleware one way down and one way up. If you write a custom one, just look up the docs. And there's the question left, do you know some pros, cons for more boilerplate in types but less logic in queries? Can someone get this?
I would say that you can reuse them. Yeah. But when you have more than just one query for the same type, you can.
Yeah, exactly. So you can reuse it, and you can tweak a lot of performance out of it. So you have, I already told you have the member with ID 1, and you can store this member in so-called data loaders from Strawberry if you are running in an async context, or you can add any self-designed cache stuff on the request object, like you have a request object and you set an attribute like members, and you have already queried the member one, you can just pass it to the request object in a synchronous in a sync environment to not mix up the request object. And as soon as you have to resolve any members, you can just look up your cache. Is this member already inside? Because you have one member type with one ID, this will exactly exist one time in your database if your ID is a primary key. The social club here is a member field type, so you can not just return the database model. Maybe you can, because there's some magic going on, like in Fast API, you don't have to return this exact type, so you can also return a dictionary, and Strawberry will do its best to match this, but you don't get any IDE support like type validation. So in this example, we will just return a product type, and it has an ID, and the ID comes from product ID. We have a name, it comes from product.name, and so on. I will skip this. And we have a social club, and this must be this type or a dictionary, I prefer the type. So you must create a social club type here. And social club type is already refactored. So your social club type takes an instance, and from there on it is self-contained to resolve its fields on its own. So the control of resolving the fields went from the query to the type. And we can just make it work like this. Yeah, and this on the bottom is just copy-paste. I will skip this because we are running out of time, I think. I think this exercise is finished. What's the advantage difference between from object and private? Does anyone have an idea? Private is a field with a field typing. So you have your social club as a model type, as in types. Let's check it. So this is typed. So what happens if you want to mock some data? You have to create this database object to match the type definition. If you have something like from object, nothing stops you to say, hey, it's a product, or it's my mock data defined anywhere. And you just make something like if is instance product of product do this, and else do this. So this comes in handy as soon as we read the exercise 5, because we're talking about interfaces. Yeah. In the next exercise, are there any questions to exercise 3? Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a lot of boilerplate, a lot of copy-paste. So I managed to do like the shared implementation of from object.
Yeah.
For all of these classes, just introspects the data class fields.
Yeah, this works as long as your field names match the database name, I think.
No, because yeah. But in this case, they might.
Yeah, so what you can do is if you're running with a from object or the field definition, you always can do something like looking up some attributes on another object. So you can take maybe the get field definition, I think, field name, and if this match, you can write a completely generic resolver. I won't do this. I would take a library called Django Strawberry, I think. I mentioned it in the README outside as homework. Because as soon as you use this framework, it comes with many advantages like pre-selecting, prefetch and select related, and so on. And there are also implemented filters, and there you can just define your model and say, take this, and this field, and it will just resolve automatically. There are some advantages, some disadvantages, but I think we can talk about this in detail later. So the next thing is we query data, but we also want to create data. So we have a mutation, a field argument, and because we are running out of time, I think I give you 5 minutes, maybe 7, just to get into the topic, and then I will show you how to implement it on your own later. Yeah.
Maybe it's just because of the example, but like in the exercise 2 there was this query, but it, like one of the advantages of GraphQL is that it doesn't return anything that isn't asked for. In this case, it will still query everything, even if it isn't being asked for, but just not send it back to the clients, right?
In this case, yes. You can manipulate Django in this line to say social club objects fetch related, and then you can make a dot values, and then you can specify which values you want to query from the database. This adds a lot of complexity to your code because you have to inspect the query in the social clubs info object, which query depth you have, and which fields are related. The field's name should or could match the database. And before you run even your query, you say, okay, query is a member, it has a social club, so I prefetch member and social club. And from the member, maybe the first name and last name from the social club, the ID and names. And you have to always specify this in your values from this query in this line. But it's kind of hard to calculate because maybe your API fields differ from the database field. So the API is called first name, and in the database it's just called name because it's maybe some legacy code. And then you have some problems to match this first name to the name. That's one disadvantage of this Django Strawberry package I mentioned earlier, because this assumes you have one-to-one fields, that the database matches one-to-one in those schemas.
Yeah, if you can pick your own schema, then it's fine. But if you have to apply with an existing schema, then it might not be good. Yeah, okay. And if you have the freedom to develop your own schema, you can just make it match your own model. But if you don't have that freedom,
if you're starting from green visa, so if you're starting from a blank project, an empty project, just go with the library because it makes life so much easier.
problem is most of the times you have a Django project and you have some legacy REST API or remote procedure calls, and you have to match its new API like GraphQL to the existing field, but we want to have but we have a front end field, and the fields must be noisy. So first name is defined as first name. We know what is the first name. We just give them a name. They will come to me and ask me, is it first name, is it full name, is it last name, is it with salutation, is it with without salutation? And GraphQL, you try to define your fields as concrete as
So some kind of library or effort being made to make more of this automated. So I think there's a lot of translation code.
Normally you don't need because you only ask what you need, then there's something called security, and you calculate the hash in the front end and the back end, and the front end just then predefine query hash to the back end can look up this hash in the back end hash table and get this query from the back end, even if it's defined in the front end. But this is a combining task from front end teams and back end teams. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there wasn't something like front end and back end teams. Django always worked with this template, and the developer always had to do it back end and the front end. So this makes GraphQL more like making Django patterns.
So I will show you how this mutation will work. I don't think that we have to fix anything else. Yeah, so the mutation will just take an input object, and it's defined as strawberry input, and we have to match the field name as good as possible to our backend. So we have a price, it's an integer, and we have a quality, which is our quality enum. And to update our instance, we just make a product.price is input.price, and the quality as a product.quality equals to input.quality, and that's an enum, so we have to access the actual value. Oops. And then you just have to save this. I have a question here. Can we optimize this boilerplate? Yes, we can. I prepared a utils function in core. And this is just doing this input type to a dictionary, and we can just iterate it like key value pairs. You have to care for enums, date time, and so on. And this only works if your schema name, your input name matches the name of your object, your instance of your database object. An example should be in exercise 5, I think. But to complete this exercise, we can add an argument like this one. We have social clubs. We want to have the min member count, only social clubs where the min member count is greater than equal the specified number. So we add a min member count, and this should be optional. And it should be an int, and it should be default none or unset. Unset is a specific type from Strawberry. It's like undefined in JavaScript. So we can filter on the database level, or we can filter in Python. This is the answer to this question. We did some performance measurements in our company, and most of the time we just prefetch and select, pre-select the stuff in the database and just, or not always, but often filter in Python or Elasticsearch. So we can just specify, get some performance boost because this prefetch doesn't get destroyed. Yeah.
What is prefetch?
Prefetch is like you have a member on a social club, and if you access a member, you will make one database query. If you make member and curly braces and access the social club, there's another query fired. So, and if you query member again inside the social club, there's again a query against the database. And a prefetch just makes one query and joins this data. So instead of querying member and then social club, you query member and social club and join them.
And this is automatically done by
No, this is this is Django code. So on the query level, we have we can do something like objects select prefetch. Prefetch is a many reverse lookup, and select related is a one-to-many lookup. And we can say it's a member set here, and now all members from the social clubs are joined to this column. Yeah.
But this approach probably works when you have not so much data actually.
Yeah.
Like the member set is can fit into your memory. But
Yeah. But will you query your 20,000 members at one query, or will you use pagnitation or endless scrolling? Or
for sure, but the pagination. So the member set is like the first page of all
Yeah.
members right now. Pagination works here.
Not out of the box. Yeah. So I think there's 200 members or 100. I don't know exactly. As soon as you have a big data set, I would move this search into like something like Elasticsearch, get the IDs, and just query the IDs from Django. And if you want gain more performance, you just select the columns you also specified in your query. So like from member, you only want first name, last name. You will make a dot values first name, last name to get only the first and last names out from the database, and not select star from database. To run this mutation, you can define a mutation, create product, create product. So we have 10 minutes left, so I will just show you how you can use this. And inside here, you can just query again the stuff from your product, like ID, name, and so on. And in the input, you specify, you get the variables. This is not clean code, because if you want to use this in the front end, you will do something like variable specification, like here, like you have an input, and this is of type input type, and so on. And we'll use this and send the variables in a separate field, so you can reuse this mutation with different variables and not hard-code it inside here. So I don't think we have time left for exercise 5, but I think it's very important to understand how interfaces work. So I will just show you how this thing works in the final. Final is everything you implemented, more or less, in this workshop. So there's something in the types called personal. And the person interface. An interface is just a definition of fields in common. So it doesn't matter if this is a member or a guest. Every member and guest has ID, first name, last name, and a social club. And they only differ in age and rating. So you have something like from object, I mentioned it earlier, with a union type, like you can feed your person interface with member and guest. And depending on the type, what this person really is, you can query the age or rating. I will show this in the GraphQL because this is a really nice tooling. Where is it? So I prepared a social club where you can query by ID. Just look up the source code and the to-dos and do your homework, then you know how you can do it. And there are persons, and the person has an ID and first name, and now it's some magic like ... on. And I can say on member type, I want to have additionally the age. And if this person is a guest, I want to have the rating. And this stuff differs on the type name. Every field comes with a type name. And if you execute this query, you can see we have social club 1 with ID 1. Let's take the name from it also, and the social club number 0. Okay, we have different persons. Like okay, we have member, again a member, member. Okay, and we have 3 guests. So this is very useful in the front end if you have something like overview of your persons inside your social club, and you just want to flag it if it's a member or a guest. Yeah, we run a little bit out of time. If you have any questions about the exercise, especially maybe the 5, because we didn't enter that, just hit me up on Discord or write me an email. I love to talk about GraphQL, Django. Yeah, thank you for being my audience. Are there any questions in general?
What is your Discord tag then?
I think you can. I will write it in the channel, in the room channel later. Yeah.
Can I ask you about? Well, I had a discussion where GraphQL is good for projects, where GraphQL is probably an overkill for projects.
Yeah, that's a really good question. GraphQL is useful if you have many or more than 1 or 2 front ends, like you have a web page and a custom native app. And you have to resolve different fields on each application. So on a desktop page, you may have more room to visualize stuff, so you can query more in one time, while you have a nested navigation on a mobile device, and you don't have to fetch all query at one time, and you can query it nested.
Actually, in my case, we have like an analytical website, and it's only one front end, but different backend components are used on different pages. Let's say.
Yeah.
So one backend endpoint can be used in multiple places, slightly different ways. So I thought.
Yeah, you can always make member type 1, member type 2 like this. It's not really nice because this is against the GraphQL shouldn't work like this. So you have a member, so you have one member type, and you define your fields what you need in this member type, but nobody stops you from defining different types. So you also can make something like a federation. Just look it up. There you can define multiple schemas and just connect related fields, and you mount the schema you need for your backend, for your analytics tool, what you need on the server, and you just have one endpoint, and it will route it to the right direction. Any more questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Why would I use Strawberry over Graphene?
I already mentioned this in the in my slides. I already closed them. Graphene with 8 Ks of stars on GitHub is has no active maintainer as far I know. I used Graphene in the past for 3 years, and then I switched to Strawberry because the maintainer was away and nobody maintained this project, and the pull requests just increased and increased. And so I checked out other GraphQL libraries, and I found Strawberry, and Strawberry has such a nice community in Discord. If you ask any questions there, I think I have, if you wait 2 or 3 hours for an answer, it's long. So yeah. And the maintainer, Patrick, a really nice person, is very helpful, and if you have a deep question about the framework, how something works, or if you understand something, if you don't understand something, he's mostly there and will help you. For instance, Strawberry, I think there's 1 release per day like this, so, but a really good change log because there's a nice automatic release bot behind it. And each pull request also creates a release. And you just, I don't have any breaking changes in the last 2 years, I think, because I just follow the change log and it's stable enough, so. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I use GraphQL without Strawberry or Graphene?
GraphQL itself is just a specification. Strawberry is a library which implements this specification. So under the hood, there is GraphQL core from Python, and there are many libraries sitting on this GraphQL core, and GraphQL core implements this specification. Strawberry says, okay, we use data classes, we use this add strawberry field decorator and so on. In Graphene, you have some magic with def resolve underscore field name, and this will make the magic. So it doesn't matter if you take Strawberry or Graphene, because the specification for the front end for like Apollo or Relay will be the same. A nice thing about GraphQL is also you can deprecate fields, and it doesn't show up in the IDE, or if it shows up, it is yellow underlined. And on each place in your code in VSC, for instance, your front-end team uses member.deprecated field, so any, like age is deprecated, they will get problems in the problems tab that they use a deprecated field. No. Also, GraphQL creates automatically TypeScript, so you don't have to write any query mutation, field definition. You don't need this. You just write your GraphQL files, how the query and mutations should look like, and this will create all this stuff for you. Yeah, nice. Thank you very much.